employee relationship management, what are the topics we are going to discuss? First topic is joining formalities and relieving procedure, exit interviews, employee engagement, communication downward, upward, horizontal, gamification and modern age engagement activity, be open to coach and mentor, open to new idea and initiative, human resource roundtable, practical role play for employee relationship building, grievances. So at the end of this topic, you will be knowing what are all the joining formalities and relieving formalities you have to do as a HR in an organization. You have to help the various communication levels. So you will be learning the various communication levels, that is upward, downward, horizontal. You will be using the gamification technique for employee relationship building, and you will understand what are all the role play activity you can conduct for employee relationship building. First one is employee joining formalities and relieving procedures. What is joining formalities? So in the last module, what we have discussed, we have discussed the recruitment and selection process, how you can do recruitment, how you can source the profiles, how you can shortlist the profiles, how you can screen the profiles. In the last module, we have seen the recruitment. In this module, we will be seeing once the recruitment, once the screening process, once the shortlisting of profiles is done, next, what you have to do. So once the shortlisting of profiles is done, then you have to make the candidate to appear for face-to-face interview. Then if the candidate is clearing all the interviews, you have to do the selection. In that selection, once the candidate is selected, you have to you have to discuss with the candidates when the candidate is going to join with your organization. So you say, for example, if the candidate said that they will be joining within 2 days. I'm saying, for example, within 2 days. So what are all the joining formalities you have to prepare as a HR in your organization? The first thing is administration joining formalities, pre-employment reference check, preparation of appointment advice and intimation of the same to other department, preparing and entering new hire paperwork, coordinating to get employee ID card, handling over the new hire to the concerned HOD or manager, preparation of job profiles or coordination with HOD manager for new post. So these are the joining formalities you have to do. So first we will see what is the administration joining formalities. What is the administration joining formalities? You have to coordinate with administration department where this particular employee is going to get their seat. So what are all the joining kit? That is, what are the welcome kit you are going to provide? Some organization, what they will do, they will give some diaries, pens, and notebooks to the employee to welcome the employee for to their organization by giving diaries and pens to the employee. So how these diaries and pens? To take notes or to note down the important dates. So for that, this diary and pen will be used. So you have to coordinate with the administration department to give the diaries and pen, or to open the personal file for the employee. You have to get the personal file, or if new position is created in an organization for that particular candidate, means you have to discuss with the administration where the candidate is going to sit. So you have to arrange for the candidate seat. You have to arrange for candidate desktop. You have to arrange for candidate other gadgets. You have to arrange for the candidate table, working table. And you have to arrange for the candidate drinking water or water bottles, diaries, pens. So you have to arrange everything as a HR onboarding. So if you are working in an onboarding process, means you have to arrange for the candidates everything. Next is pre-employment check. What are the pre-employment check? As we discussed before, you have to verify the background of the candidate. That is the pre-employment reference check. Next is preparation of appointment advice and intimation of the same to other department. So once you know that a candidate is going to join in this date, means you have to prepare appointment letter to the employee. So initially you will be giving offer letter to the employee. Once the employee joins with the organization, you have to give appointment letter. So appointment letter, and you have to let the other employees know that so and so employee is or so and so candidate is going to join in your organization, in which department that candidate is going to join, in which destination that candidate is going to join, what is the experience of the candidate, whether the candidate is an experienced person or a fresher person. If the candidate is an experienced person, means how many years of experience the candidate is having, and where that candidate, what are all the companies that candidate has worked previously, what in the current organization or in your organization, to whom the candidate is going to report, or in which location the candidate is going to work, or what are all the clients for that particular candidate, who are all the clients for that particular candidate. So these are all the information you have to provide to other employees in the department. So why you have to provide that information to other employees? Because it is easy for that other employees to know or to coordinate with the particular new joining, or it is easy for them to understand which employee is going to join in our organization as a new employee. That employee, whether he is an experienced person or not, or fresher person. So is he is a senior person or a junior person? So they will come to know easily about the new employee in the organization, so that they can coordinate with the new employee easily. So for that only, you will be sending, or you will making the other employees to know who is joining in your organization, joining in your organization as a new employee. Next is preparing and entering new hire paperwork. What are all the new hire paperwork? Preparing and entering new hire paperwork. What are all the new hire paperwork? New hire paperwork means PF paper, ESA paper, gratuity paper, and PF related paper, that is Form 11, Form 1. There is a number of PF related papers. So as a new employee in your organization, you have to, you are HR is the responsible for collecting the documents from the new person or new candidate. So what are all the documents you will be collecting? First thing is, you will be collecting the application. Application means application in regarding with the personal background of the employees. So every organization, they will have a application in their particular format. In that application, it describes the name, age, date of birth, date of joining in the organization, previous employment, qualification, personal background, that their marital status, date of birth, and their father name, mother name, children name, spouse name. So everything. So every information about the candidate, that application form will contain. So you have to collect that application form, and you have to collect the qualification, latest qualification certificate from that employee. You have to collect the experience or service letter from the employee. You have to collect the pay slip. You have to collect the last month pay slip or last 3 months pay slip from the employee. And you have to collect the PF related forms. What are the PF related forms? Form number 1. Form number 1 means PF form number 1. It gives the nominees of the candidate. Say for example, a candidate is joining with in your organization, means obviously uh, you have to deduct the PF amount from the salary of the candidate or employee. So if you are deducting PF from the salary, means if there is any misfortune or unfortune has happened to that particular employee, so who will be receiving the PF money from his account? So that is the nominee. The employee, before joining the organization, they have to nominate a person on the absence of this particular employee who is the in charge for getting the PF money from his account. So that is the nominee. That nominee they have to mention. And PF form number 11. Form number 11 is the declaration form. If the employee is a new joinee, means well and good, you will be collecting only form number 1. That is nominee form. If the employee is a experienced person, already the employee is worked with another employer. So what you have to do is, from that employer, you will be transferring the PF account to to the current employer account. If say for example, if the employee has worked in X company, means now the employee is going to work in Y company, means the Y company has to get the PF of that particular employee to be transferred to Y account. Okay, so that is why they have to fill the form number 11. That is declaration of PF account. So that particular employee's PF account from X company, it should be transferred to Y company, so that the Y company will contribute the PF account for that particular the Y company will contribute the PF money to that particular employee. So this is the purpose for getting this form number 11. That is transfer declaration of PF transfer, PF money transfer. Next is ESA. ESA. Why this ESA is given? If the employee has a gross salary less than 21,000, means every organization they have to deduct ESA amount. Okay, so every organization they have to deduct ESA amount both from employee and employer. Both employer and employer contribution should be given to ESA account. So, you have to get form number 1 in the ESA Act to be filled by the new employee. Okay, so you have to get the declaration form 1 for ESA account. If the employee's gross is more than 21,000, means no problem. You need not get any form 11. Sorry, form 1 from ESA Act. If the employee is receiving less than 21,000 gross salary, means you have to get form 1 to be filled by the new employee. Next is gratuity. Gratuity form the employee has to fill. So these are all the various forms and paperworks that new employee should fill, and it is the responsibility of the HR person to get the paperwork filled by the new employee. Next is coordinating to get employee ID cards. You have to coordinate with the admin department or any other department which is in charge for issuing the ID card for the new employee. You have to coordinate with that particular department and get the ID card for new employees. Okay. Some organization administration department will give ID card for new employees. Some organization purchase department will give ID card for new employees. So you have to coordinate with particular department which is in charge for giving the ID card to the employee. That you have to coordinate with that department and you have to get ID card for new employees, and you have to make sure that employee should wear the ID card in the office premises. Next is handing over the new hire to the concerned HOD or manager. Once all this process is done, the next process is you have to hand over the new employee with the concerned department. Okay, so if you are hiring the person for purchase department, means you have to hand over the employee to purchase department, manager or HOD. If you are recruiting, if you are hire a person for HR department, means once all this done, you have to hand over to HOD or manager of HR department, and that HOD and manager will decide in which area that particular person is going to work. Whether the person is going to in performance area or in payroll area or employee engagement area, or the person is going to work in recruitment area. So they will decide and they will place the place the new journey in that particular area. So after doing all this process, you will be handling the new employee to particular department, so for which you are hiring. Next is preparation of job profiles, coordination with HOD manager for new post. So actually, preparation of this job profile should be done before. This is not the last process. Some organization, they may have this as a last process, but most of the organization, before the new candidates or before the new joinees joined in your organization, you have to prepare the job profile or you have to prepare the job description for the candidates before the candidate joined in your organization. You have to coordinate with the particular HOD or manager of the department to prepare the job description or job profiles. Say, for example, you are hiring a person or you are hiring an executive for purchase department or sales department. You have to coordinate with the HOD or manager of sales department and you have to prepare the job description or job profile for the particular new candidate. So executive sales means what are all the job should be done by the executive sales or sales executive. So you have to list out the job, you have to list out the job that is called the job description. And once the candidate joined in your organization, you have to hand over the job description to the particular candidate and get it signed from the candidate, so that the candidate will, so that as a HR of the organization, you make or you make the employee aware of job description during the joining formalities or during the onboarding activity. During the onboarding process, you made the employee aware of the job description for which the employee hired. So that is the formal way of doing job description, or that is the formal way of preparing and handovering the job description to a particular candidate. So before the candidate joined in your organization, you have to prepare the job description by coordinating with particular head of the department or manager. Here they have given as a last step, but this is not the last step. This is the first step you have to do before the candidate joined in your organization. Next is document to be filled on the day of joining. Documents to be filled on the day of joining. The personal information form, provident fund nomination and declaration form, employee state insurance form, bank account form, mediclaim and hospitalization form, gratuity nomination form, income tax declaration form. This personal information form, PF form, PF nomination and declaration form, employee state insurance, that is ESA form, we have already discussed. Now is the bank account form. So if the employee is already having bank account, means well and good. You need not to open bank account for that particular employee. You can credit the salary in the bank account of the employee. Next is a mediclaim and a hospitalization form. If the employee is not eligible for ESA, that is the employee gross salary is about 21,000 means, then the employee is not eligible for ESA. As an employee, some organization, what they will do, for the employees who are all not eligible for ESA, medical insurance will be given to the employees. Employees who are all eligible for ESA, then ESA contribution to ESA will be given. Okay, so there is two things. One thing is employee eligible for ESA, then employee contribution and employer contribution to ESA will be made. If the employee is not eligible for ESA means, then employer will give some contribution for medical insurance. So they will open a medical insurance account for the particular employee, and they will give some contribution for medical insurance of particular medical insurance of the employee. So it is not like every organization will follow this procedure. Some organization will follow this procedure. Some organization will not follow. Okay. If the employee is eligible for ESA, they will give some contribution to ESA. If the employee is not eligible for ESA, they will not give any contribution to medical insurance or ESA. Okay, so simply they will leave it. But if your organization is giving this benefit means, you have to get a form. That should be filled by the new employee. Next is gratuity nomination form. Gratuity nomination form. If the employee works in the particular organization for more than 5 years means, then you have to pay gratuity to that particular employee. So for that, this gratuity nomination form should be filled by the new joinee. So we will be having this provident fund, ESA and gratuity, a separate topic in module number 1. So we will be discussing in detail about these topics. Next is income tax declaration form. If the employee is a tax-paying individual means, then you have to get income tax declaration form to be filled by the employee. Next is photocopies of education certificate, photocopies of experience and living certificate, photocopies of PAN card, address proof, and passport size colored photograph. HR department should verify all the documents. So, as I already told you that you have to receive the latest educational certificate. You have to receive the experience or living certificate from the employee along with the payslip copies. And this PAN card address proof, this PAN card and address proof will be used for ID proof. PAN card is used for ID proof and Aadhaar card will be used as a address proof. And passport size color photograph. Passport size color photograph, why you are collecting the passport size photograph means, it will be used to give ID card for the employee, and you will attach the passport size photograph in the personal file of the employee. And all these certificates or all these documents should be verified by the HR department or a particular person in the HR, or who is the person who is in charge for onboarding process. That person, they have to verify this document. Next is induction process. HR team should organize the Corporate orientation program. New joinees should attend this orientation program to get familiar with the company culture and environment. It is reporting manager's responsibility to discuss department work rules, show the employee the work area, and introduce them to key people or co-workers. So induction process. Okay, induction process. How the induction process will be carried on in an organization. First, the HR department should organize a corporate orientation program. First, to all the new joinees, as a HR of the organization, you have to organize the corporate orientation program. In that program, you can conduct training, you can conduct PPT presentation, so that the new joinees get familiar with the organization, culture, and environment. Okay, so in some organization, the HR is responsible person to give introduction to all the managers and HOD of that particular organization. Here they have given reporting manager is responsible to discuss the department work rules. Yes, obviously, reporting manager is responsible reporting manager is responsible to discuss the departmental work with the new employee. Okay, but to show the work area and introduce them to key people or co-workers, it is the responsibility of HR person. It is not the responsibility of reporting manager. Okay, as a HR of the organization, it is your duties and responsibilities to take the new employee to show the work area and to introduce the new employee to key persons. To key persons means all HODs of the department, all the HODs of all the department, and you have to introduce the new employees to manager, sorry, not manager, MD, managing director, CEO, CFO. So you are the responsible person for the new joinees to get introduced for the head of the organization or top management of the organization. Okay, but to get to discuss the departmental work or to discuss the job description, it is the duty of the reporting manager to discuss that information with the new employee. Next is the relieving procedure. Once the candidate has joined in your organization, you have given the onboarding process, you have done with the onboarding process, you have given the induction process, and the employee works with your organization for 1 or 2 years or 3 years. If the employee wants to leave the organization, what is the procedure? Okay, inform the employee's reporting manager as well as the other concerned person. Set a meeting with the employee. Before that, there is a procedure for resignation. Okay, if the employee wants to leave the organization, there is a procedure for resignation. The employee has to give a resignation letter. That resignation letter should be in a written format. No verbal resignation should be accepted. Okay, no verbal resignation should be accepted, but no resignation should be accepted in a verbal manner by any of the HR. Okay, the resignation should be accepted only in the written format. So once the resignation is given by the employee, then as a HR of the organization, it is your duty to decide what is the last date of the employee, last day in the organization for the employee. If the employee if the organization has the policy of 2 months notice period, means from the resignation date, you have to calculate the notice period and you have to let the employee know what is the last date of that employee in that particular organization. Once the employee completes the notice period and the employee is in the last date of, and if the employee is in the last day in the organization, means what is the relieving procedure? How you have to relieve the employee? Okay, you have to send an email to every department that this employee is going to relieve from the organization, and this today is the last date for that particular employee in the organization. You have to set a meeting with the employee to discuss the decision with the employee and their seniors. So you have to set a meeting with the employee to discuss the decision, why the employee is going to why the employee is resigned from the organization and what is the reason for that. You have to set a meeting with the HOD and the employee, whether there is any pending work from the employee side. So you have to discuss with the employee and manager. You have to set a meeting with the manager of the employee and the employee who is going to relieve from the organization. Why you have to set a meeting? To discuss whether the employee is having any pending work with the department or with the manager. So you have to discuss whether the employee is having any pending work or not. Not only with the manager, but also with the other department in which that particular employee is coordinating. Say, for example, if a person is relieving from the sales department, means you have to arrange a meeting with the sales department, with the employee in sales department and the manager of the sales department, asking that whether the employee is having any pending work with the sales department manager or with the sales department, and also whether the employee is having any pending work with other departments. So what are all the departments that is interlinked with sales department? So the sales department is interlinked with purchase department and production department, finance and accounts department, IT department. So these are all the few departments where this sales department is interlinked. They will be coordinating. So production department, purchase department, warehouse department, EDP department, that is information technology department. So these are all the department where this sales department will be coordinating, or the person in the sales department will be coordinating. So you have to, as a HR of the organization, you have to ask the manager of sales department whether the person is having any pending work with all these departments, whether the person is having any pending work with the department in which the person is coordinated. Okay, so once the manager gives no objection or nil due or no pending work with any of the person in the department, means then you have to proceed with further documentation. Further documentation means the employee who is going to leave from the organization, they have to collect nil due or no pending certificate from all the department in which the employee is coordinated. Say, as I already told you, the person is relieving from, the person from the sales department is relieving from the organization. So that person, particular person, have to get nil due or no pending work certificate from the department from the department where he has coordinated. In the sales department person, they will be coordinating with purchase department. So they have to get certificate, no pending work certificate from purchase department, no pending work certificate from accounts and finance department, no pending work certificate from production department, no certificate pending no pending work certificate from warehouse department. So from each and every department where he is coordinator, they have where he has coordinated, that person has to get no pending work certificate from that particular department, and they have to, and that certificate should be submitted to HR department. So once the employees produces the certificate, then you have to, as a HR, you have to recover all the assets from the employee. What are all the assets the employee will be holding? First one is laptop or desktop. Okay, laptops, uniforms, any other keys. If the employee belongs to accounts and finance department, means petty cash key you have to get. You have to recover the petty cash key from the a particular employee. So you have to recover the system. You have to recover the you have to recover some confidential files and folders from the employee. You have to recover the ID cards. You have to recover the swipe cards. So once all the assets are recovered from the employee, then you have to make the IT department, and then you have to make the IT department to remove all the access for the employee, all email access, login credential, any other access that that employee is holding. So you have to remove all the access. Once that is done, you can relieve the employee from the organization. Okay. So what are the documents that must be collected before employee's last day? So what are the documents you will be collecting before the employee's last day? The first one is signed resignation letter or acknowledgement of termination letter. See, this is not the document which you have to collect during the last day. Before 1 month or before 2 months, before the notice period, you have to collect the resignation letter. Okay, you have to you have to collect the resignation letter from the employee, or you have to collect the termination letter from the particular manager or HOD of the department where the employee belongs. Okay, their non-disclosure agreement along with all the relevant form for the employee's security. So employee, if your organization is having non-disclosure agreement policy, means you have to collect the non-disclosure agreement from the employee. The employee benefits that will continue. So the employee benefits that will continue. What are all the employee benefits that will continue? Only the ESA and PF will continue. Whether the employee has any salary or conveys dues, you have to make sure, or you have to know whether the employee has any salary due or conveyance due. A final paycheck is prepared, which includes the documentation. HR drafts the employee's testimonial, or popularly known as experience letter, or after all employees' confirmation of receiving the experience letter. So you have to know whether the employee is having any salary due or any conveyance due or any incentive or bonus due. You have to, as a HR, you have to know whether the employee is having a salary due or any conveyance due. So if the employee is having salary due, means along with the salary due, you have to prepare the final paycheck. You have to prepare the final full and final settlement. What are all the components the full and final settlement will have? The first component is pending salary. So if the employee is having any pending salary, you have to pay the salary, pending salary, along with the eligible salary of the employee. Next is bonus. If the employee is eligible for any bonus, that should also you have to give. Next is leave salary. If the employee is having any leave balance, you have to calculate the leave balance of the employee, and you have to settle the new balance, leave balance for the employee. Next is gratuity. If the employee is eligible for gratuity, then you have to pay the gratuity amount for the employee. So these are all the components you have to include in the final paycheck of the employee. Once the final paycheck is done, you have to give that final paycheck to the employee with the signature of the employee. So you have to take a copy of the final check and you have to get a signature from the employee in the final paycheck. Original you can hand over to employee. In the duplicate, you have to get the signature of the employee. Next is, once the employee gets his final paycheck, you can give the experience letter or service letter to the employee. So the same procedure. The experience letter or service letter, you have to take a photocopy and the original should be hand over to the employee. In the duplicate, you have to get signature from the employee. Why you are getting the signature from the employee? In future, the employee should not claim that the organization in the future, the employee should not claim that the organization didn't give any service letter or didn't give any final paycheck to the employee. He should not claim. So if you get the signature in the final paycheck photocopy and experience letter photocopy, then that document will act as a proof for the organization that they have given the full and final settlement and experience letter to the employee. So that is the reason why you are getting the signature from the employee in the final check and experience letter.